world, yeah.
Can we actually redefine our cultural expectations? Or are employees sabotaging themselves, their company, or the economy by quiet or loud quitting? Is it a good or bad thing? And I guess I'm going to ask you guys that. Do we think that quiet or loud quitting, I guess the idea of it is kind of speaking out for ourselves and our mental health. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's just pointing to a bigger root of a problem, and we're going to need to look at it, or we're going to continue doing what we're doing now, which is making the shift of taking all of these administrative jobs, these very monotonous tasks, and directing them into AI systems, because eventually people just won't do them anymore.
So, okay, now here's my thing though, is I think there's a time for this. Like, I don't think somebody's going to stay in an admin role for the next 10 years unless they actually enjoy that. Like, it's either going to be an admin role,
People
maybe
do
2
it.
years, even if they don't enjoy it.
Yeah, that's probably why we have the problems that we have now.
Interesting. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah.
I would say it comes down to, like, I look at it from a perspective of leadership again. So I think for someone doing like an admin role or something where, it's maybe a job that's more simple but very necessary to the company, I think it's a lot about recognition. It's a lot about explaining to them, how important that role is. Because at the end of the day, you're hiring people because you need a role done. So I understand, yeah, AI technology is going to replace a lot of these things. But in the meantime, I think we need better leaders in corporate places, and that's going to make a huge difference in people's workplace engagement.
Now, okay, but here's my problem with that is just, I feel like personally where I struggle is society using the term quiet quitting is contributing and polarizing it and basically making it sound like it's just encouraging complacency in the workplace. No?
Have you ever had a job where you've had like, I had a job at Swiss Chalet where I was a line cook. I was doing like a very menial task. My boss was awesome. I didn't want to let him down. That's how I rolled. And I was getting paid minimum wage. It was sweaty. It was terrible work. I was cooking French fries, but I had a great boss. I had some great guys I worked with, and I was part of the team, and I was going to do my best. And, was I changing the company's future? Absolutely not. But was I doing a good job when I was there? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and like getting support throughout hard times as well, like there's always the teams who are like great on a level, but as soon as things go wrong, they're like, you're to blame, like this is your fault, versus understanding that things just, change with trends. And, maybe the team has worked hard enough to do this, but, there's just no result for that. But yeah, I totally agree with you that it just, like if you hate your boss, you're waking up in the morning, you're like, I have to go to work.
So, okay, why would somebody quiet quit? Why would somebody just begin that process, that stream?
People got bills. People don't feel like they can quickly find another job. Maybe they don't feel like there's another opportunity that's like good for their skill sets. So the guy's got to stay here.
They're adrenally fatigued every single time. There's some sort of light at the tunnel. There's a pandemic. There's a war. There's a carbon tax. There's it doesn't end for them, right?
Yeah.
It's exhausting. So
It's like they don't feel like they can get a head start on anything.
Well, yeah,
How
and
can
then
you
mental
plan 5 years
exhaustion
in the
becomes
future?
physical.
Yeah. The other point, and it's interesting that you brought that up, Bianca, is just like overall inflation, affordability of everything. I definitely saw that side of it. I mean, I think I started a little heavy on like, oh, that's just being lazy is quiet quitting, but it's really not, because there's a flip side to it where it's like you got to feel bad for these people in a sense, people who feel like there is no hope. Like,
They're
what are they
behind the
supposed to
eight
do?
ball. And constantly
Right?
trying to catch up and constantly trying to make it somewhere with no clear line of where that somewhere is, because you just don't know what's
Yeah,
going to
you're just
happen in a year.
running.
It's a
Running all the
lose-lose.
time.
Like the company is not going to be globally competitive. They're not going to advance if all of your people are, disengaged and they don't really care. They're just punching a clock. Not good for the company. And for all those people, like, who wants to go to a job that they don't care about?
I actually think this is an America problem in general. Europe is a lot more kind of laid back in terms of work. People understand boundaries and are not as crazy. There's definitely a few executives that are that way.
They do things that help the quality of life for people. So they give free childcare in certain countries. They give you like 10 weeks of vacation.
So the culture really does,
Yeah.
the culture, because that was my next question was going to be, do you guys see any patterns with certain people who quiet quit, or I guess on the flip side, who are very happy in their roles? I mean, culture seems to play a good role in that.
I feel like people who are quiet quitting are switching from a mindset of like, let's get this back, let's hustle, which is a way to, kind of live in a corporate world. And you can definitely do that. But, for some people, it just takes such a great amount of time and effort. They're like, well, why don't I just do my job? Like, if I'm obviously just stressed out. Like,
doesn't matter
You bring
anymore.
the stress from work home, and then you don't have a personal life. And then you're just like, it's just a forever like recurring cycle.
The weekend's so short. I get it. I think the struggle here is just overall mental health for individuals who are working jobs where they feel like there's no sense of growth. And Chris, you did make a good point. As a leader, it is part of your job role, whether you know it or not, to give that incentive for people to grow.
It's the most important thing, absolutely. Like you taking care of your most important resource, which is your human resources.
Right.
It's the most important thing, making sure everyone's engaged and they're enjoying their job as much as possible.
Now, when we come back, what can we do to be better?
I'ma rule the world, yeah.